Group allocation or pricing. To start with the topic of allocation, I presume the initial queries resolve around the allocation of groups and the volume of group business to accept on varying dates, among other considerations. Now, I emphasize the significance of initiating the resolution of these inquiries by developing a comprehensive demand calendar for the entire year, specifically for groups as well. And usually this is an activity which undertakes well in advance. This demand calendar should provide insights into the anticipated demand for each day throughout the year, and also obviously it categorizes as low or high or shoulder, and at times even specifying the expected occupancy levels. Now, demand calendar for groups. To provide further insight into demand calendars, I advise specifying the amount of base business you would be willing to accept on a daily basis. So first you set that, you decide on how much of the base business you would like to have. And now this base business is combinable between both the group bookings and individual reservations made well in advance. And to define what qualifies as base business in your hotel and where the threshold lies, outline how much you are prepared to accept for different seasons. Now, to carry out this exercise effectively, you will need to establish what a healthy level of base business looks like for your hotel. This can be achieved by analyzing historical data. You see, same time last year, for example, other data points from the historical data which you have of previous year, and evaluate various group segments, which helps you to determine past levels of base business and decide on acceptable quantities for future periods. If you want to continue the same with the same amount of group business you had in previous year, or you want to increase or decrease this year, depending on different factors and the different targets which you have for this year. It's important to consider upcoming events within the defined time frame, so you don't want to end up selling a large groups at a discounted price during a very high demand period. So you need to keep in mind the upcoming events and avoid um, confirming groups, especially during the large events, because that is the time when you are able to optimize. So you don't want to sell uh, most of your inventory to a lower paying group. If you have access to systems with competitive intelligence, it's beneficial to incorporate this data as well. Now, there are some rate intelligence tools such as OT Insight, which is now called Lighthouse, and other tools. If you have access to those, you are also able to see on those tools information about different events which are going to take place in the coming year or two probably. So that is we can use those insights as well to incorporate and to basically decide on the direction basically decide on the direction, on the dates you you want to consider for groups or you want to avoid for group booking. Now, also this helps you to compare what you are currently having on your books and what your competitors and the broader market is having if you are using those intelligence tools. So even if your high demand seasons only span a couple of months each year, you don't see the necessity of creating a year-long demand calendar. Specifying the volume of base business you are open to receiving is an excellent practice because you kind of build a direction for yourself where you want to go, what you are trying to achieve, and how much volume you are trying to bring from each segment. Now, a well-structured calendar can then serve as a valuable resource for sharing with other hotel departments, including those led by the front office manager, reservation manager, providing them with a clear and concise overview so they are aligned with what you are trying to achieve or what you are aiming to achieve. Additionally, it empowers other team members to make more decisions independently, reducing the need for constant guidance and feedback. Because once you have told them, you have explained them what you are trying to achieve, what are the actions you are, taking, so they are already aware, which helps you reduce the time, wasting the time explaining again and again to different individuals. You explain it for once and they know, so they won't be basically asking for the same information from you again, although sometimes they don't. But it helps actually if you proactively advise them about what you are trying to achieve. And also, in case you are not advising them about certain promotion or certain actions, and a client is, and you have marketed it and a client is asking about it, if you have not advised them, that they would be clueless, which doesn't give a very good impression about your business as a hotel to the client, because they are inquiring and the staff answering the call, for example, or the email doesn't know about it. A crucial aspect to account for while creating the demand calendar is the understanding of wash rate within distinct segments. This we'll discuss further in the following slide. Now, the term wash rate pertains to the proportion of the initial group block that doesn't materialize, that doesn't stayed, for example. Now, for example, if a group reserves 100 rooms but cancels 30 of them within the specified deadline, the wash rate for that group stands at 30%. Now, rates frequently exhibit variations across different segments and seasons. Usually, leisure tour groups have a higher likelihood of experiencing cancellations compared to the business groups. One of the general reason is that the corporate groups, since they are coming through a company, usually for employees or their partners, they are confirmed in advance and everyone is aligned. Whereas with the leisure groups, since there are a lot of individuals involved, some might change plan and they end up canceling. So that's why they have a higher ratio of cancellations. The importance of this knowledge lies in your desire to ensure that you can sell more rooms than you have available when factoring in wash rates, which means you can create an overbooking rule in the system you use, so that you can receive overbookings. Now, to illustrate this concept simply, if you have a business, you have a set base business contribution target of 30% for a particular date, and you anticipate a wash rate of at least 50%, it would be important to consider accepting groups or other base business up to range of 50 to 60%. So in case once you have that wash, the cancellations, you are covered because you had set an overbooking rule, so you are receiving bookings from another segment, which helps you refill the inventory, which you would otherwise be left unsold because of this group cancellation. Group pricing. So now we discuss about group pricing. Regarding group pricing, I would like to address two distinct facets: displacements and determining an appropriate rate to offer for a group. Now, displacements necessitates an assessment of how much business you would need to decline if you accept a group booking. Essentially, you should evaluate the expected business for the specified dates and whether the group's business replaced that business. Additionally, remember to factor in any supplementary revenue that you wouldn't have generated otherwise, such as income from transient guests, conference room rentals, food service, etc. To conduct these assessments, perform a displacement analysis. You can either draw insights from historical data or forecast performance, considering the specific dates in question. It's worth noting that you don't need to reinvent the process each time you receive a new group request that necessitates displacement analysis. Invest time once to craft a comprehensive template to streamline this procedure on subsequent occasions. In terms of group pricing, particularly if you have not established a pre-negotiated rate with a hotel as a corporate entity or through a travel agent, your goal is to determine the most competitive rate to entice a group away from your competitors. So you have to be competitive enough in order to win the group from other players in the market, other hotels. So a valuable approach is to initially examine the groups you successfully accommodated in past and review the rates you offered them in similar situations. So you know which groups were confirmed during the last year, what rate you have offered. So you will have an understanding which kind of group was confirmed at what rate, and if you want to offer the same rate to the request this year, or you want to increase or decrease. It is also important to consider the lead time of the request. In this example, a request received in January, for example, for a June booking entails a lead time of 5 months. Nonetheless, if you receive a request in May for a June booking, indicating a lead time of only 1 month, it's advisable to consider offering a distinct rate. Now, during this process, it's essential to account for both the lead time and prevailing season. You need to keep both these factors in mind. It's a good practice to create a document that includes this data, ensuring it's easily accessible to reference, when quoting rates to upcoming groups. A complementary approach to this exercise is to reverse the perspective and analyze the groups you were unable to secure as opposed to the ones you won. So you will have an understanding what rate you have offered to the groups which did not confirm, which could be due to the pricing factor, or you can have this insight by talking to your partners who were sending you the request. So you'll have an understanding of which price points are not bookable or not being booked by the clients. So you have to keep that in mind as well, so that in future you try to avoid offering the similar price because it won't be materialized. You'll also determine the rate threshold at which you tend to lose most groups for various lead times. So by doing that, you would have an understanding, and then in future you will avoid offering that price or offering a rate within that price range. It is recommended to establish a system in which you periodically assess all the business opportunities that went unsecured. This can be like one of the practice you can have is to record turnaway. In some systems there are, like for example in Opera property management system, you have an option to record the turnaways. So later on you can generate the report of turnaways and see what uh, requests or inquiries you have turned away, and maybe you want to approach them again and offer them in case you have, let's say, cancellation, etc., so that you are able to speak to them, approach them, and probably book them. Ideally, on an annual or monthly basis, this analysis can guide adjustments in your rate setting strategies for the future, because this is you're learning from the market. So you have an insight, you learn from the practices which you did in past, which you are doing right now, and how the market is responding, and then you analyze all the actions you did, how market is responding, and align your strategies accordingly for the future.